Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah!
We got it! We got it!
New 52 book.
Somebody clip this for the woman. Welcome to Comics League Live. I'm Jared. I'm here with Hero Darky Dark. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me back, and I'm glad to be back.
Anytime, dude. So today we are going over again Hero's book, which is called Relentlessly Bullied Hero. It's a really cool book with a very, very, very clever trailer. It's probably it's actually one of the most entertaining ones I've ever watched. So you know what? That's your first props. You got the marketing down, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I took great care to make sure that with someone without that much for audience, that I just did something that will at least pique someone's interest when you pass by.
Well, yeah, exactly. And plus, here's the thing with the trailer, and we'll go over it again when we after we watch it. But before we put on the trailer, the thing that I really wanted to emphasize is that the thing is what I always tell people, and the first thing they tell you when you start a YouTube channel is you have to figure out a way to differentiate yourself from other people, because otherwise you just get drowned in the soup. This is different. So actually, let's go ahead and get started and play that trailer, which I'm so excited because I love this trailer so much. All right, let's do this. I'll go full screen as a matter of fact as well.
As pillars of society, heroism must stand proud, no matter what. Through injury, madness, nihilism, and even death, a hero shall step up and lay their body on the line like those before them. We may fail, but we will never stand down, for it is through our valor and will that society will be purified for a better tomorrow. Oh God, I couldn't hold it in. What is this, Zeal? Your first draft? It's worded so weirdly. And haven't you ever heard of a word limit? Gotta make it happy and interesting. Let me show you how it's done. Greetings, peasants. The great villainess, cursed sorcerer Grimora is speaking. Welcome to the show of my creation, featuring Zeal, the hero of our story. Say hi, Zeal. Fantastic. He's a very odd new gen hero I came across, and claims he can return heroism to its once prestigious state compared to its current degenerating from. Hard-pressed to believe from his general lack of abilities, but hey, he has spirit. Who doesn't want to see an underdog story? And if he fails, it'll be to witness. Coming this... Zeal, when is this campaign starting again?
Late January. It's starting late January 2024. And of course it wasn't finished. You just jumped me and stole my journal, you freaking sociopath.
We've got it all. Violence, explosions, my sexy self. So go, give me your money.
You vile woman. You think this is funny? There's no games here, witch. This town's diseased. Rottenness steeped into the soul, and my crusade shall chip it away piece by piece. I swear, by my flesh and bone, I shall...
Enough of that. The gag goes back on.
Wait. This is my... isn't it? Why am I playing second fiddle here?
There'll be plenty of cool stuff, so go spend your money on Relentlessly Bullied Hero. #1. Any parting words, Zeal?
Really? Well, I stole my hero's mission statement too.
Psych.
That is so good. I when I first heard this on Nick's show, I legit I was like, "What's going on? Why is she laughing?" And then it was like, "Oh, okay, it's part of the bit. It's part of the bit. I see what you're going with. That's actually really clever." So, what inspired you to approach the trailer that way in such a meta way?
Well, of course. I was just thinking about what to do with the trailer, and then the fun part about trailer is just attracting people in one way or another. And so, have you watched Toonami?
Occasionally, yeah, when I was growing up.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember that back then, usually for like it'll be like at the end of the episode when they're doing like that preview for the next episode, often they'll do like I guess you could say small skits where like be a couple of characters talking about the trailer. And yeah, oftentimes they're like summarized what happening, and other times they're like so I was thinking to myself, most of these Kickstarter trailers they're not much else other than either just showing off the images or just having like I won't say generic, but just having someone say the plot. So I'm like, what
Flashy
about
art, words jumping on the
Exactly.
screen. It's kind of that.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, what if I take that expectation and subvert them a little bit, but like have that be a little bit of an intro, and then all of a sudden, just when most people would just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get what's going on. All of a sudden, you just hear laughing, and it's just like, wait, what's going on here? And that's when it starts to come together that someone broke into the guy's studio, tied him up, and took over recording.
That's so good. That's so good. And it works that you don't even have art showing that because it's like it adds to that what the hell is going on moment. And it's really good. So Brown asks, is this a manga?
Yeah, it's basically like a manga comic. It's very manga style. I'd say it's more manga than comic, but I just go with both since
it's kind of a hybrid between the two. But obviously the manga part is the predominantly black and white. Now, is that an artistic choice or like a cost thing?
Both, because I did like manga, so it's kind of like worked out in the end. Because I was just like, all right, so I don't have to worry about coloring, but also I still get to get that nice manga feel since a lot of mangas were inspired the series, so it kind of just worked out both ways.
Sweet. Yeah, and it looks good. And plus, yeah, and I was talking to Nak about this on his show. There's not enough black and white comics. Most of it is like a color to heck, because the thing about black and white comics, I think, is that you can appreciate the art more because it's like you don't have like the colorist trying to like cover up the mistakes of the artist or like the original art. So it's more authentic, at least I think.
Yeah, and plus, yes, there's a lot of good things or ways you can present certain images just through black and white that can make things like really interesting.
Yeah,
exactly. That you can't exactly do the same way with color because it's always so sparkly, I guess you could say.
It's a little distracting at times. So tell us about the characters of this fine graphic novel / manga.
With pleasure. So of course, there's two main characters, co-stars. There's the hero, Zero. He's a new gen hero. They call him new gen heroes because to make a long story short, at the current time, it's been a few months after the star hero of their city died. So think of like the Superman, the Batman, the All Might, like the big pillar of morality have passed away. And so of course that leaves like a big void of thing that needs to be taken over. So of course a lot of newer heroes started becoming heroes, and then there's a decent amount of heroes who only gain prominence afterwards. And so that's basically what they were labeled as new gen heroes.
Okay, that's cool.
And so and so Zero's one of them, and he kind of sees that society has degraded a bit since the death, as some of the heroes aren't exactly always acting in the best interests for the duties. People started being a little bit more nihilistic, and as he's an edgelord, so he's a little bit intense, and he kind of takes things seriously all the time. So he doesn't like this. So he wants to try his best to, even if he can't like solve it, he wants to try his best to like be an example of like the heroics with the standard he wants.
That works. I like that. That's cool. So in other words, he can be a serious edgelord, but also be a hopeful, inspirational.
It's like he basically like he kind of like Batman was like, he's broody and stuff, but like he's not he's not like Sasuke. Well, he's literally just a jerk to everyone. Like, no, he does actually believe in people. He's just hard-able about it.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. So tell us about the fine lady that Atchison says, oh no, she's hot.
Well, I mean, of course, he's the one that everyone's always asking about, which is hilarious because he steals like 90% of the spotlight. And
For
that's
obvious
Gamora.
reasons.
Exactly. And that's Gamora, the cursed sorceress. She's more of a veteran villain. She's been at this since she was like in her teenage years. So that's kind of why she's able to like get away with like pushing around the hill so much. Because she got that experience, more time to develop her powers and such.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that dynamic, and basically she's in a binding deal with Zeal, which prevents Zeal basically from getting rid of her forever. So even if he had the power to like, not take all her teasing, he actually still can't get rid of her for other reasons. And so she's at the moment of her life, she's bored for certain reasons. So she decided to spend basically most of her time just following around Zia, like mess with him in any way she can. Fun. So like even if he's like chasing a villain, she might just come out of nowhere and just trip him for fun. Just to see what happens.
That's really good. I like that. So it's kind of like an Odd Couple like thing. I like that. That's funny. That's funny. So in other words, he'll be chasing someone, and then it's all of a sudden, she'll trip him. That's great. I love that. And that's honestly a really interesting idea because I don't see like a lot of like heroes teaming up with a air quotes villain. Well, team up is a generous term, but still, it's like they don't like hang out, which that actually works for like it'd be kind of like if like the Batman had to hang out with the Joker for like a book. Wait, they did
that. Yeah, like if he has to like just stay around Poison Ivy and just like I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
I think that's what really makes the book fun and interesting to people, as it's like it's kind of layered on different ways. Because of course, if it was just Zeal, it would be hard to just sell a book on. Okay, yeah, you're just gonna be following around an edgelord. It's like the setting might interest people, but still, it's like if you learn from Image, just being an edgelord about everything isn't always going to be the most profitable thing. And so, what better way to like just oppose his existence and create more interesting sparks than just having a giant big titty girl next to him.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And the other thing about it is that, he's an edgelord, but we can say in a way that she brings out, at least from what I've seen, the like more playful side in him too. So it's like he's not as edgelord all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of like the one thing that if he's by himself, and in the book we do see like some pages where like he's just by himself, we can see how I think it's to say how over the top he can be with himself, with how serious he can take himself. But then when C's there, so he can kind of like bring him a little bit back down to earth, just kind of remind you like, hey, like calm down. You're not Batman. Like you're not that strong yet.
I love that. That's great. I love it. That's awesome. So tell us, so what was the main like inspiration behind this story?
There was a couple. If I could say the full main one, it was My Hero Academia. Just seeing how they world build about how heroes can affect society and such. One Punch Man, they have a lot of interesting concept about how to deal with heroes and hero's personality and what it means to be a hero to different people. I know another one was Justice League Unlimited. That was very big. Yep. Yeah, that's like my most earliest interaction with like the actual superhero genre. So that had a huge.
Because here's the thing, is like before that, I only knew about Superman and Batman because I only watched like the Christopher Reeve movie and the Michael Keaton movie. So I only knew about those two heroes. I remember vividly, I was watching an episode of JLU. There's all these different heroes, and I'm like, who the hell are you people? I'm like, what the heck is this?
Exactly. And what was great about it is that it's not like, all those characters have to be in the show like every episode for you to kill. Like no, like some of them only appear for like like 2-3 episodes, and yet they're so interesting that you still care for them.
Yeah, and the thing
Like
about
the
it that's kind
question.
of cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying like the question.
Mhm. Yeah, and what's
Yeah.
cool about that show is that it actually does great in terms of world building. Because here's the thing: there are some characters that never speak, that are just there in the background, so you know that they're in the Justice League. And I'm like, okay, that works. My only problem is that the show, mainly Justice League, takes a
Mhm.
little too many liberties with certain characters, like making Wonder Woman a rageaholic, making Batman a little overly playboyish. But besides that, and in the universe having
Hello?
it's a pretty solid universe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So now, how about tell us about all the rewards? About oh yeah, here's the image of the trailer. I see that's good. I like that.
Yeah, part 2 of that coming because like the joke was at Saitama as like a stunt, going like, oh yeah, once we get funded, I'll actually let you go.
I like that. That's cool. So, what rewards can people expect?
Yeah, so of course, those 3 covers. I personally I don't like doing too many covers because I feel like that takes away like the attachment you can get to each cover.
Yeah,
Because if you have like 5 or 8 of them, then it's kind of just be like, okay, no one's gonna look at an image and just be like, oh yeah, that's cover for issue number 2 or 3. It just not be like, yeah, no, that's like one out of like 20 covers for like 2 issues. I don't remember it. So there's 3 books, and there's a bundle deal. So if you buy like 2 books or 3 books, of course you get a little bit of a deal off. Like depending on what it is, it's like 5, 6, or $10, depending on which one you can get. And if you get a bundle, you get the Cardinal Sin trading card, which features Gamora. Her power is basically that the 7 deadly sins, each one is a form she takes, and each form gives her a specific power. So
that's
pride
cool.
allows her to fly with strength. Greed lets her move things, and so on. So yeah, every bundle goes with that. We have bookmarks, 2 posters, 2 stickers, and then the biggest reward is the Reporting for Duty one, which is you get the 3 books, a poster of your choice, a sticker of your choice, the bookmark, basically for free, and then you get to submit a hero design, and it will appear in the double page spread in the bonus page as well. It's gonna be done in the interior artist style, and then they'll be with our main duo as they're doing such. Yeah, it's like a big thank you for supporting the book.
That's cool. That's actually a really a good idea to involve the fan base when it comes to working with that. But going back to what you said about variant covers, I feel like that's one of the issues the mainstream comic book industry struggles from, because it's like they'll have like I remember and Marvel specifically like really guilty of this, and DC too, but mainly Marvel. Well, they'll have like an event and then have like 20 variant covers, and I'm like, the hell is this? It's the same book.
Exactly.
20. The only time that was done well was with Jim Lee and Chris Claremont's X-Men, because you could put them together and form a poster. It's just all where nowadays they're not that creative enough, so it's just a bunch of static images.
Yeah. Like I've never liked it because I'm a big manga guy. So, and of course with manga you only get 1 cover, and it really was because like a lot of people get really hyped for each manga cover because they're sparing. So of course they always want either a certain aspect or a certain character to get on appear on one, because they know that that's probably gonna be like one of the few times they can get there, and then depending on how good the cover is, it can be really iconic. But then comparing that to American Comic Zone, I mean, I'm not saying they don't have good colors, but I personally seeing a lot less hyperbolic because it's like, I mean, yeah, they have like 20 covers. Of course, eventually one year hero's gonna show up, and if you go the Kickstarter route, half of them got naked girls on them, which, and I don't blame them, but it's you kind of take away the fun of it. Exactly. I mean, yeah, but it's like, hey, I won't jump on someone else's hustle. Just you take away the specialty of it when it's like, okay, I can basically get. It's like OnlyFans. It's like, okay, we get it. It's good and stuff, but it's like you can't take away what's special, like fun about it. If it's always so easy to get that I can just pay $5 and then boom, I got it. I don't really need to read the story.
Yeah, and the thing about it is like the other thing about having too many variant covers is that in and of itself can like ward someone off the book because they'll be like, because I want to get this one, but that one also looks, this is all too overwhelming. I can't buy this. Whereas if you give like 3 or 4 variant covers and like you do have the option to get all 3 of them, that's a justifiable expense. So it's like, okay, I can get three covers if the covers are good, which they are. So it works.
Yeah, and it's 3 at a discount too. So technically speaking, you're kind of saving a decent amount of money.
Well, yeah, and that's what the mainstream comic book industry doesn't realize. I get that because what they really do is that they use the multiple variant covers because they know that these books aren't selling. So what they do is they put out a crap ton of variant covers, so like the speculators and other people will buy the variant covers of the same book, and then they can say, "Look, this book is selling massively." No, it's because you released a Jim Lee variant cover. Who's not going to buy a Jim Lee variant cover? Hey, what's up, Doth? How you doing, dude? But if you give but my point is, if the mainstream comic book industry has to learn that less is more, because if you give like, let's say 3 or 4 variant covers, people can afford to buy more. That means more people are going to buy like all 4 variant covers. That's one of the reasons why X-Men #1 by Chris Claremont and Jim Lee is like the highest selling comic book of all time. Hey, what's up, Immortal Rising? Because yes, it has variant covers, but it's 4, and the 4 form a poster. So, and that's the other thing. A lot of times it's just static images, or like here's the interesting part. I've seen variant covers that are the exact same pose or the exact same composition, but of different people. It's really, I'm just like, what?
And I think part of the reason why is because like they kind of, well, of course, sometimes the content of the book itself isn't a lot, so they don't have a lot to work on. Yeah, I try to like somewhat keeping my covers somewhat relevant to what's going on in the book, so it had that impact. But like, of course, when you're doing like 20 covers per issue, like after like 1 or 2 issues, you always have like 40 comics. That's like almost every generic idea you can do. And so afterwards, what else can you do except just the same pose, just a little bit different again and again?
Or it's like just like the same stereotypical, like for Superman, he's always like this with his arms on his side. He's always which I get. Homages is a great way to is a great tactic for a variant cover, but we don't realize when every variant cover is practically that, it just looks really, really, really desperate.
Yeah, it's like it's basically like if they use ChatGPT to submit their homework.
Yes,
like...
that's exactly what it's like. Oh, geez, yeah, exactly. Because even AI, it's kind of funny. A lot of the variant covers that come out, they look like they're made by AI. I wouldn't be surprised if some artists are just plugging into ChatGPT and getting away with it. I wouldn't be surprised. It just go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that, like, you know how like some images come out that are like 3-dimensional that are clearly 3D. A lot of these covers have that have that very AI made look.
God, I see what you mean. Yeah, I personally hope that. Even then, I'm just like, bro, you had one job and you couldn't even do that without a cheat code. That's just sad.
Well, plus DC for some reason doesn't realize that no one wants to look at Lois Lane. Now, I had to put a Lois Lane dig in this show. That's kind of my thing. Or as we call her in the show, Lois Lame. So there you go. But let me ask you this: how long do you anticipate the series going for in terms of like, let's say like everything goes great, like how long have you planned for on this?
If everything goes great, I say we can easily go up to like, depending on how my book progress, because like, if it keep on doing great, I can add in more pages per book, and then I can get more story in. But I can say we can easily go up to like 20 to 40 issues, maybe even beyond. Because I have like a lot of ideas in, so it's like I'm here for the long game, and it seems like other people are here for it as well.
Yeah, and what's cool about that's the other thing I see a lot of times. A problem with the mainstream comic book industry is that nowadays they start saying, well, now it's the end of this arc of my Superman book. Now it's the end of this arc. And I'm like, they're thinking too short, because what that sounds like is that you only have a short amount, you have a small plan, and you're just making this up as you go along. Where when I see people like you or Jonathan Hickman that have these that have these plans for a long time, that inspires confidence, because they're like, okay, as long as the book keeps going, which I anticipate it will, as long as the book like keeps getting supported, that it's because you can, when you're reading a comic book after a while, if the writer didn't have a plan, it was just making this up. I'm looking at you, Brian Michael Bendis. I gotta say, I'm a big fan of Superman, but that Superman run was rough.
Yeah, see, it's been so long since I ever picked up a Marvel DC book. I think like the last one I picked up was like a Marauders Black King one, and that was just because the cover looked cool, and I hated it. So I'm just like, yep, not doing that again. I'm just gonna stick to my indies and manga, and I've never been happier.
That works, because here's the thing. Marvel and DC are like struggling. They keep recycling the same ideas over and over and over again. And indie is just coming up with new stuff, or taking the basic bones of DC and Marvel, because everyone has like a Batman character per se, but they take their own spin on it in a way that DC would never allow, because we own these characters. So it's like we can do whatever the hell we want with them.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like they need to be willing to, one, get people who can actually write good stories in there, and two, like be willing to like experiment better. I feel like whenever they experiment, the only time I ever see is just like, oh yeah, I just gave this person a new power. Now Superman can teleport. Now Mazra's got an electric sword. I'm just like, that's not making them any interesting. You're just throwing some random stuff on them and hope it sticks. Where it's like, at best, they can only work for like that issue to like for all the clickbait people, but then afterwards, no one gonna follow it. There's nothing else in there to be interested in.
Well, beyond that, so what DC did have a period where they were experimenting. It was called the New 52, and what they did. Their sales were stagnating, so they said, okay, let's completely reboot and retool everything. They broke up the marriage to Lois, thank God. They de-aged everyone, so they're a little more relatable to people. And what they did is they essentially said, treat it like we've never published a comic book. Go. And it was a massive sales boost, because you didn't have to read 80 freaking years of continuity. That's the other issue. But the other thing it did is that you could do new ideas. Like they did a book, which I've always said DC should really hammer. It's kind of like a modern warfare book, but it's in a world with superheroes. So it's like a military action adventure in a world with superheroes. And I'm like, that's a fantastic idea. I can't believe they've never like really pushed that. So they did that. They put Superman with Wonder Woman, much to my delight. And the problem is, whenever they try something new, you have the air quote Twitter fans that throw a fit on Twitter because they're like, everything's changing and what it really is, it's based on nostalgia because a lot of these fans are getting older and they want to pretend like they're younger. So I'm just like, I get it, but eventually you kind of do have to let the characters grow because otherwise it's like there's a reason why Superman was seen as like a joke for like so many years until like the new 52 and Zack Snyder came along, because both of those like updated for the modern audience the good way, not the way that they do it nowadays.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I can kind of get how they feel about like wanting things to stay a certain way, but like, eventually need to at least keep them moving, or else like what's happening now, people gonna start noticing when all they're doing is running through the same cycle over and over again.
Like, let me ask you this, Hero. How many times have they done a Death of Superman movie?
At least like 3.
Yes, 3 times. Can we stop? It's like that. It's like where whenever there's a Flash movie, it has to be Flashpoint. They've done other stories. That really annoys me. I'm like, the Flash has great stories, and you only do Flashpoint.
It's like, why? You can do something else. Like, it's like they just I think the issue is that when they want to try these projects, it's only when they're like their backs on against the wall. So now they're desperate to like get like one good thing in. So instead of like experimenting, you just go, okay, let's go with the most popular thing out there, which is something they already did like 5 times, but they're desperate. So like, all right, we gotta go with it again.
The original Flash movie, back when Zack Snyder was still in charge, was going to be, so get this out, it was going to be a movie where the Flash teams up with Cyborg to fight the Rogues. That's what it is. It's a very small, simple team up movie. That's it. No time travel, BS. That's it. And I'm like, something fresh for once.
Thank you. And it's like, cause like Flex is such an interesting hero too. Like, of course, my view is a little bit biased since the Just Limited one is one of my favorite iterations. But seeing someone who's not just I defeat the villain, they go to jail and such, but actually at times be willing to like just walk with them and chat with them and basically try to find a better solution. It's fun, especially since with how technically speaking broken he should be. It kind of makes more sense. Like he's the one he's doing it the most, as he's the most able-bodied to do it. Cause like, yeah, so Boomerang might be a maniac, but let's be honest, he's not hitting the Flash unless Flash is being dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he's in Justice Flash.
Yeah, there was this great moment in the comics where Deathstroke was fighting the entire Justice League. And what he did, I think this was when Wally West was Flash. So the way Deathstroke beat the Flash is because he basically said that the Flash is predictable. Like he knows from which angle the Flash is going to attack. So he just held out his sword like this and the Flash just ran into his sword. He's like, you're so predictable.
I know. I'm just like, see, I feel like in a sense that can work, but just not with someone with Flash's exact, not for a speedster like Flash, where it's like, okay, he can literally perceive things at like nanoseconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably better for like a speedster where it's like, yeah, he moves really fast, but he can't fully react to things on time. He has to pre-plan his movements before actually going super speed.
True. That works. And plus, speaking of like JLU, they had a great thing where like the entire show basically makes Flash the jokester, but they have that one moment when Lex Luthor's turned to Brainiac and Flash just runs across the world punching him, which is basically like, awesome. Yeah, which is basically like, no. Which I love when they did that, because they're like, basically what they're saying in that show is, do not look down on any superhero, because they used properly, they are going to murder supervillains.
Yeah. Oh, remember that time where Lex Luthor was actually in Flash's brain, and then when he was running around the Watchtower, he was like destroying stuff, and like
he took off his mask and goes, "I don't know who this is."
Yeah, that. But like, when he was destroying stuff like by accident, I forgot what she was saying, but they were just like, "Hey, what's happening?" And then, I think it was John Monster Manhunter was just like, "Yeah, you may not know it, but Flash intentionally uses his power in a way to make sure he doesn't damage the area around him. So like it's kind of like a neat little lore where it's like, oh, okay, so like he's not just being fast to be fast, he is specifically doing it to think of others along the way.
Yeah, and what that kind of showed that's the first time they kind of showed like how powerful the Flash is because he's like staying up and like and like fighting essentially the other gods. So so I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, Flash is not a pushover at all, and I'm like, no. See, Flash is one of the characters in that show that it respected. Too bad it didn't respect Wonder Woman.
Yeah, well, I think one woman said a few good episodes. Like, yes, it was a little bit more hot-headed, but I don't know. To me, I like, maybe that's because I like aggressive women. I don't know. Sue me. You see the things I make.
Probably. But I think the problem with it is that they didn't show like the more peaceful side of Wonder Woman as well. Because it's one thing if they showed like the super aggressive part, and then also she was more like kind of like in the Snyder Cut when like she takes out those terrorists, and then that girl says, "Can I be like you one day?" And then Wonder Woman goes, "You can be anything you want to be." Like small moments like that would kind of help. The problem is that they literally have a scene where Wonder Woman is like trying to have a day off. These criminals start robbing a bank, and then she like beats him up and goes, "I can't even have a day off because of you." Ricochet says, "Remember how Wally West used to have a public identity until he asked the Spectre to make everyone forget he is the Flash, including himself." Wait, what? That happened?
Since when?
I consider myself the Lord of Comics, and I didn't even remember that. But so
well, then I get to accomplish his task then.
yeah, I guess so. All right, the Spectre actually went to the real world as well. So how much longer is the Kickstarter going for?
It'll be for another 72 hours.
Oh, cool. But
so yeah, there's enough time yet for anyone who haven't picked up the copy to pick out one. I do want to say one quick thing about rewards. Sure. I do mention that there's gonna be extra things for both buying digitally and or physically. So like if you just get digitally, you get the digital pack. There's a bunch of art that I can miss that won't end up in the book. So I'm just gonna put in a package and just give out to people who order digitally, so you can use it for like wallpapers, phone savers, that kind of stuff. And then for physically, there's two things coming, like a poster and like a trading card that will come free with your package.
That's why I like backing like crowdfunded books, because I get all this other stuff with it. It's like Christmas every time.
And it's like, oh wow, I'll just go with a book, but hey, why not?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not gonna say no to swag. Who's gonna say no?
Exactly.
But all good. Now the question is, so on the as the issues go on, do you think you will have like tiers for people that want to like catch up? Like if someone wants to order like issue 1 before issue 2, so they can get caught up and stuff.
Oh yeah, of course, I'll be probably to help entice readers and backers. I'll probably like, of course, make out like a decent discount, like. Oh yeah, the first 30 or maybe not 30, but like first 10 or 20 people who order this tier, you basically get issue 1 for free or for like $1, or like completely breaking even on the book and stuff like that. So they'll be like, oh okay, yeah, cheapest way.
Nope. There you go. And that's the other thing I appreciate. So it's like I don't have to start in the middle of the story. I've done that before. I can figure it out. But not a lot of people are going to put the mental thought into it. So
yeah, it's kind of awkward too, since with indie comics, there's a lot less I get to say clear-cut avenues where you can start going back. Cause like for something like Naruto and stuff, I could just easily go up to like any place in the high season and just go to chapter 1. But for certain indie books, it's like if they don't have chapter 1 that available, or like on a more common site, it's gotta be harder to catch up on issue 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm. So all in all, the book looks great, and I look forward to seeing where this goes. So Hero, it's a pleasure having you on again. And where can one find you, my friend?
Yeah, you can find me at place Hero Darky Dark. It's basically my app on YouTube. It's my app on Twitter, Hero Darky Dark. You can easily message me. My DMs are open. So if you ever want to message me about anything, let me know. And yeah, I'm just doing my stuff, working hard, grinding out. Thankfully the book is 100% done, so you don't need to worry about
There you go.
any late books. I'll get sales out as soon as they come back in. We'll get started on printing.
Sweet, that sounds like fun. And obviously, you're always welcome on the show to promote this issue 2, issue 3 as you go along. My door is always open. So, on that note, everyone, this is going to be kind of a shorter one because I got to go record Under Two Capes with the boys. But I will see you guys later. Stay heroic. And remember, as usual, Lois Lane is Lois Lame. See you later.